On this Dakota Life Virtual, we're going to take a tour right here. And right here is the South Dakota State Historical Society State Archives. And our tour guide is going to be the State Archivist, Shelley Sampson. Hi, Shelley, how are you?
I'm good.
You're in your office at the Cultural Heritage Center building.
I am. You can see all my my calendars and everything behind me. I'm in my office.
Well, you have kind of a fascinating job. You are the keeper of a lot of artifacts that tell our history here in South Dakota. What are the job duties of a state archivist?
Oh, yeah. The State Archives is responsible for collecting and preserving and making accessible all sorts of records that document the history of our state. So we've got records dating back to pre-territorial days. We've got maps and journals and articles and letters and photographs and all different formats, videos, audio files, anything like that that helps document what is happening in our state, activities. So it's a very important job that we do. It helps with transparency of government. It helps with documenting everyday lives in South Dakota. So it's a very interesting position.
Is this one of those jobs where on any given day you don't know what's going to come in the door?
Right. You don't know, and we get information from private individuals. We get organizational records from organizations throughout the state. We are always acquiring records from state governments, county governments. So yeah, you just don't know from one day from the next what's gonna come in the door.
Well, I'll tell you, on this day, we're going to come in the door. In fact, why don't you welcome us in as we take a look at a little walkthrough of the State Archives, and like a visit to the Cultural Heritage Center, people may not know that they're welcome to come in.
Right. So the State Archives is located in the Cultural Heritage Center, which is in Pierre, and this is where we're entering into the State Archives right now. It's open to the public. You can just come right on in, and this is right after you enter the front doors. There's a desk there that you can register in to let us know that you're there and what kind of research you might be wanting to do while you're there. Now we're kind of looking at some of the library books that are available in our research room. We've got many rolls of microfilm. Those are the cabinets that contain all of our microfilm records, newspapers, state records, naturalization records. Those are all on microfilm and available in our research room.
What sort of people stop in to visit in this research area? What sort of researchers do you commonly see?
Oh, we see attorneys, others, state employees doing research on their state agencies. We see students, particularly a lot of students during History Day projects. We see genealogists, people who are working on their family histories, filmmakers, people who are doing research. They need the background information when they're doing their films. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a wide audience of people that we get coming in our doors.
And you did mention that. I know there's a shot of that front desk where people can come in, and there is a registration process, but not the entire area is open to the public. So I see there are some things that could be more readily accessible.
Right. Anything that's on those shelves there in the microfilm. Once you go through our registration process, because we do take our collections and our security very seriously, you need to register. But anything that's on those shelves, you can grab and look at. The microfilm readers that we just passed there, those are to view the microfilm. Again, some more research tables. Plenty of space for people to do their research that they need to do.
And I think we're headed back to, you can't have everything out in this public access area, but as we were talking, there are different levels of cataloging and storage, and where are we headed now?
we are about ready to go into our library. We have a special collections library, which means that we collect books that have anything to do with South Dakota history. And there you go. You can see all of our shelves, a strong genealogy collection, books on Native Americans in South Dakota, a lot of county history books. But that's kind of what sets us apart with our special collections library, is that the books have to be about South Dakota in some way, and also that we are a non-lending library. So if visitors come into our office and they want to see a book, it needs to stay in our building, because they are, some of them are one of a kind.
Sure.
Right now you're looking at some atlases. We've got some atlases there. But yeah, there again, so this is a secure library. Only certain staff have access to this space. So if people come into the archives and request a book, we go in and get it and bring it out to those tables so that you can see it and read it.
So in that library area, there's no public access, but you might see from the resources that say, I need book XYZ, and then the staff will go and retrieve that for the research in the other room. What I wanted to ask you about the items that you have. Some that you seek out, but sometimes those items, people offer them to you. Is that as well?
Right. A lot of times people are, especially authors, in the case of the library, if authors write new books, they're in contact with us asking us if we want a copy. Sometimes we are proactively looking for resources that we know that are out there that we don't have, but a lot of times it's donations of materials that come in that are, kind of unsolicited, that we don't know. A lot of times it's people who are cleaning out their house or their grandparents' house or something like that, and they find all these treasures and they contact us that way. So it's a mixture of both, of us seeking things out that we know that we would need or want, and then also people just coming to us.
Well, in doing so, we're going to go now into that processing area. So whether you have a new item coming in, it's got to be cataloged and prepared. Tell us about the process and take us on through the door.
Sure. So you're entering into the archives processing area, which again is a secure area. It's our work zone. It's messy, it's busy. This is where, when donations come in, and by donations I mean physical documents, digital documents, this is where they come in and they're assigned to a staff person. We have a manuscript archivist who works on anything that's records that are not government related, and we have 2 government archivists who work on county, state, and local government records. And we have a digital archivist who works on all of our electronic records that are being donated to us.
I think we're all familiar with the Dewey decimal system at the library. Do you have a catalog system, or how do you categorize or organize items?
Right, so we've got something similar like that we use for our books, so the library that you just saw. But for the collections like what we're just talking about now, we have a different set of cataloging records, cataloging system. Everything gets assigned a number and a series title and a record name, and we go through all of the paperwork, making sure that we know when the donation was received, who gave it to us. Everything gets put into archival folders and archival boxes and cataloged into our system. It's a legal transfer of records from the donor to the state archives, and then it gets placed into our storage facility, so that when people come in and want to do research, they can look in our catalog system, they can tell us what they want to see, and we can go into our storage system and go get it.
Well, let's go there next. Let's go to that area next in the storage. Okay. And as we head through that door into the storage area, there has to be, not only with the type of boxes you use, but environmental concerns with a lot of one-of-kind items. How are they maintained?
Right. This area that we're in is also a secure area, limited staff or limited access just to our staff. This room that we're looking at is temperature and humidity controlled. So we like to keep things nice and cool in here in order to keep the records from, experiencing a lot of fluctuations between high heat and low heat. It stays very steady and nice and cool in here. What we're looking now are at volumes of Territorial Records, some boxes. There's a good shot of all the boxes. So once things are processed by the archivist, they get placed in those acid-free boxes and assigned a location, and then they get put on the shelves. Here we're looking at a series of map shelves. So we have probably about close to 10,000 maps in our collection. And those are the shelves, those are the drawers that we hold the maps in.
Well, let's take a closer look at those, because you could see that those thin pull-out metal shelves, and just an example of how documents are stored. And you gave us some examples. We're going to look at one of Fort Randall. I'm not sure what circa this is, but it looks like kind of a layout of a planning map for Fort Randall near the river near Springfield.
Right. So I pulled out a couple of maps just to give an example of the different types of maps that we have. This is one that I thought was interesting, black and white, and it just gives a lot of detail about this area. And just is a really good example of what we have. And the interesting thing about the three maps that I pulled as examples are also that these are maps that are available on our digital archives. The last couple of years, we've been working on a project to digitize maps in our collection, particularly the older maps, the maps that are probably a little bit more fragile. This one that we're looking at, you can see, is a little bit more fragile. So we've been digitizing those, and those are available on our digital archives.
Is there some sort of protective cover? I noticed on these two color maps, when we looked at the photos, they seem to be in some sort of protective covering. That's probably part of the environmental process for preservation?
Right. So all the maps are in acid-free folders, and these in particular are encased in like a type of mylar enclosure. Mm-hmm. And that's just to protect them a little bit further from any kind of shifting or handling, fingerprints, those type of environmental things that help deteriorate maps. We just want to help protect them further, so the mylar enclosures help that.
Well, this is a fascinating tour. And before we go, tell us a little bit more about the digital access. I mean, we're at a time when researchers cannot physically come in and visit, and I know for some time you've been working on digital access for people to connect. Talk a little bit about that, where you're at, and where you hope to take that process in the future.
Sure. So if you visit history.sd.gov and click on archives, that'll take you to the archives homepage. And there's a couple of really helpful resources on our homepage. You can go to the South Dakota Digital Archives, and that will take you to a site where we've been really very busy digitizing photographs, maps, and those are all available there. We've got some land survey records available there. So really a great resource. Also available on our website are links to newspapers that we've been digitizing with a very nice project that we're working on with the National Endowment for the Humanities. So you can go there and see what newspapers we've been digitizing. You can also find other different links on our website that will help you figure out what resources we have, archival collections that are available. So just start with the history.sd.gov/archives, and that will take you to a great place that will help you out.
And you'll find all of that hopefully in person. Visitors will be able to return before long to the Cultural Heritage Center in Pierre, and also the home of the South Dakota State Archives. Shelley Sampson is the State Archivist at the South Dakota State Historical Society in Pierre. You've been very generous with your time and sharing a visit. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you, Shelley.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.